beaucoup parlé ce matin souvent du rôle de Bruxelles. C'est pourquoi on est ravis d'accueillir une représentante de la Commission européenne parmi nous qui prouve vraiment que Bruxelles s'empare de cette question. Donc on va voir comment Bruxelles peut jouer un rôle pour faire grandir la philanthropie européenne. Donc j'invite Madame Kerstin Jorna, Deputy Director General in the Economic and Financial Affairs à la Commission européenne, to talk. Yes, you can come. Yes. Thank you very much to be here. Thank you. Oui, yes, you can, at the desk. Yes, okay.
Thank you very much, thank you for inviting me here. It might seem as a kind of improbable alliance to have the European Commission represented by its finance and budget arm here to partner up with you, the philanthropic sector. Also, after listening this morning, I think it's not so improbable after all, because what we share together is un désir certain, a certain desire for the public good. And this public good may be very diverse. It may come as art, social welfare, solidarity, inclusion, innovation, integration. Now, the first point is, what's really the EU role in all of this? We heard this morning a lot about your role and that there is a very distinctive European philanthropic sector, and it's centered on innovation, citizen involvement, social justice and cooperation. It helps accelerate social transformation and progress in very sustainable ways. For our part, the European project is based on what's called the social market economy. And one of the speakers before said, this was new, that companies had a duty towards society. It's not so new. Actually, it was invented in Germany after the war, Ludwig Erhard, the model of social market economy, which means there are responsibilities both sides. And that's now also part of the European treaties. So social market economy means social and territorial cohesion. It means solidarity among member states, but also between citizens. And as I said, it's part of the EU treaty. So if we share the objectives, how can we enhance and mutually reinforce each other? I want to look from two angles. The first angle is the EU as a catalyst, and the second is the EU as a partner. Now, when I look at the EU role as a catalyst, I see the possibility, the EU as a convening hub, to create interconnections, to allow to talk each other, to work across borders, to address issues together, to have also collaboration between different sectors, and to also have an enabling framework. Now, we are not there yet as far as EU level is concerned, and I heard that this morning as well. There's work to do, but as one of the previous speakers said, you can do the work when you know why you're doing it. And I think this is one of my takeaways is, what are the issues we want to address together? In the past, we tried to create the framework by saying, we need this statute for foundations. But then there was not enough of why behind it. It was only seen as an institutional mechanism, and that's why probably it failed. But I think we can do better, and this type of debate today, and the shift I also see, the wish to do impact, will help us to move on this. So we have Catalyst, and we also have the partnering up, the working together. I want to make the example of social finance ecosystem, where we are already working together. Despite the recovery, there is still a lot of social and complex challenges that persist. Poverty, we heard the example just now, inequality, and especially when it comes between center and periphery. And this has opened an opportunity for innovative solutions pioneered by social business and impact models. And you have long been drivers of these new models and this innovation. Social entrepreneurship, microfinance, social impact schemes. We've developed an array of tools to help you actually to roll this out. We have programs about business angels, social business angels, and trying to put together different regions and territories. So we've tried to create the ecosystem. Sometimes it's perceived by you as being very complex, and I understand that. It's also because we have maybe too much of a supply thinking on our side. We should work more with you to understand the demand side as well, and to have your insights, what projects, which whys actually have to be addressed, and how we could be better on that. So when I think about what we did so far, the catalyst and the partner element, I was looking for a picture actually to express it. And what came to my mind is this little car in the Walt Disney films in the 60s, Herbie, or La Coccinelle, which actually is a machine, a catalyst, but it's also partner because we're winning the race with the car. And I think this is how I see our partnership. It's a Herbie type of partnership where we have to, where we can deliver these two things, and we hope for you as a driver and telling us the direction and which race to win. Now, how do we take this forward now? What's the latest as far as the EU thinking is concerned? And that's the InvestEU program, which was already mentioned today. It's a real disruption. Because as policymakers, we are used to make policy through regulations. That's the trade we're in, and it's not very loved, I have to say, in particular if it comes from Europe. The second way of achieving the public good is by paying people to do the public good, the grants, and, for example, or the whole of our regional policy to help the regions that are lagging behind to catch up. However, what we're talking here now is, with InvestEU, is the disruption, is the third policy dimension, which is actually creating the public good by making private capital come in and also pay for this and invest alongside us for the public good. And that's a disruption. What we are proposing for the next 7 years is a public guarantee, a very important public guarantee that would focus and take the risk in those projects where today we want to have them, but they're too risky, so nobody invests in them. And they're in the area of, in 4 areas actually: innovation, SMEs, social, and infrastructure. And I think the infrastructure and skills pillar of this proposal is of particular interest of you. We're talking about 4 billion public guarantee. The window seeks to address capital looking for value, for impact. We want to provide the tools that allow social entrepreneurship, social infrastructure, and social impact finance to flourish. It's a value proposition to you, to the private sector, and it was originated by us thinking we have to understand the demand side actually here. So we started a conversation with the philanthropic sector, conversation that's still going on with also your associations. Somebody mentioned, you know, our associations, what are they doing? They were doing this, and we had different policy areas actually coming into this conversation. The policymakers for innovation, the policymakers for SMEs, the policymakers for environment, climate, to understand, for you or for our partners to understand what we want to achieve in terms of public good, and for us to understand how we could help you help us on this. I'd like to recall 6 of the teachings or learnings that we've had from this. First of all, there was a decision that we should have a guarantee mechanism that enables investments from foundations' asset bases into mission-related areas. If we take part of the risk, then you can afford or you can dare investing in mission-related areas. We were looking at patient capital that would provide for smaller impact intermediaries and offer tailored financing. We learned that there should be a strong advisory component, because one thing is to get the money, the other is to actually make it happen throughout the life cycle. Many projects we saw, in particular of this kind of innovative area like in social, they died in the valley of death after having started. So the advice is also needed along. And then the need to think in terms of projects and project pipelines, and to allow this discussion amongst you about different sectors, about projects and the collaboration. So for us to provide actually the collaboration and the platforms to do this. And finally, and this is again a takeaway which was very novel for our colleagues, for all of us in the Commission, was that we should continue this dialogue because in fact you need a permanent dialogue between the policymaker and those who can help us. Come to a conclusion, what I presented to you is a method. It's the EU method of collaboration between public and private, a shared vision of the public good. Public guarantees, private projects and pipelines, collaborative links between the two, and then hubs and platforms, and all of this embedded in a regulatory system that we should strive to make even more conducive. And my personal, because I was involved personally, I was in Michel Barnier's cabinet at the time, in the second effort to try to get the statute for foundations. What I took away from that is that it's not about the mechano that's going to create the necessary political momentum. It's really the fact of telling the story, what we can achieve, and why we need certain parts to achieve something else. And you've mentioned the different causes you're working for. And if we can tell that story together for the new parliament, there are elections in May next year. If we can tell that story, I see chances of political momentum, enough momentum to pick this up and also look at the broader regulatory framework. So, it's together, which is my main message, #Herbie Principle. Thank you very much.
Thank you.